From a hidden mountain temple, tucked away in the misty Chinese interior, Kung Fu has spread and is now enjoyed by practitioners around the world. With a rich history of over 3,000 years, Kung Fu has been refined and developed to a level that ranks it as one of the world's great classical art forms. But Kung Fu has not always enjoyed such popularity. Imperial persecution and scholarly disapproval of the manly art were just some of the reasons why certain styles have been lost or altered. Because of this filtering, masters have devised the most effective and diverse methods of combat which have survived down to the present day. This evolution is continuing now through the efforts of such innovative and creative instructors as my guest today, Sijo Douglas Wong. Welcome to Kung Fu for Health and Self-Defense, Doug.
Hello, Joe.
You're the author of several books and trainer of many famous Kung Fu personalities. Could you give us a little bit of your martial arts background?
Well, my background started way back when I was about 10 years old. I started in different martial arts. I started in judo, got into wrestling, into boxing, amateur type boxing. And later on got into Kaji Kempo system, which is a combination of the Chinese karate type fighting, Aikido, judo, jiu-jitsu. So I had a very extensive background when I was younger. Later on, I got into more formal training into the art of Kung Fu. My first main Kung Fu instructor was Grandmaster Art Wong, the 5 animal system and 5 family style. Later, I started with Richard Wan, which was known as the soft hand style Ya Kung Moon system. And later on, I learned from Sifu Sher Lu, where I studied the Taoist internal system, about internal breathing, healing, so forth. And I've been exposed also to Dr. Andrew Ming, where I learned acupressure massaging, different type of philosophy, pulse diagnosis, acupressure, bone setting. And from Master Xian Qi from Taiwan, also learned about the healing art.
Wow, that's definitely quite a background. You've accumulated years of knowledge to found the White Lotus system. What are some of the distinct theories that this art is based on?
Well, a lot of those arts that I learned were from the old ancient time. That's Kung Fu, it's been around for many thousands of years. I try to modernize the White Lotus system. Where people nowadays do not have the patience as in the old days to train. So I try to modernize it, make it a quicker method of learning and try to keep the students interested in the art of Kung Fu. White Lotus deals with modern type technique, in fighting, into blindfold fighting, sensitivity, learning about the mind, the spirit, and the physical aspect of the body.
Right. Many people are aware of some of the more familiar forms of the martial arts, and they're not aware of all the different side aspects of it, like the doctoring and whatnot. Many people admire the flashy movements of Kung Fu, but don't realize that the power behind the movements requires a lot of physical conditioning. Could you please elaborate on that?
Physical conditioning is very important, especially if you're in a fighting situation. A lot of people, to get onto the streets, they get hit one time, they drop on the ground, never realizing what a full power punch is going to feel like. You can't give them a type of false confidence. In our school, we try to condition them for any type of action, maybe an accident, maybe a fight, maybe whatever may happen. So you know what full force feels like. You learn to control pain with the mind. After the mind control, there's no pain there. So we try to teach them different type of body conditioning using various methods with the hands, with every other type of bag training, with upper body and lower body training.
Some people have a hard time applying the solo exercise of martial arts. We'll say the conditioning exercises, the kata, and what have you, to an actual combat situation, like you said. So what are some of the fighting concepts that you teach your students?
Okay, really, a lot of styles teach one-point fighting, control fighting, but we'd like to get into like full contact type fighting. A lot of people now do full contact fighting, have set rules, but in Chinese method, when we fight, there are no set rules. We use elbow, use knees, we'll pick up a 2x4 and beat on you. You have to learn to defend yourself against that. So when we teach the fighting aspects, we teach in fighting, middle range fighting, long range fighting, use against weaponry.
With all your years' involvement in the art, you've probably seen a lot of changes over the years as Kung Fu no one knew about it and then became very popular, and now it's kind of died out again. So can you compare the old days of training to the present?
Yes, a lot of students in those days were very devoted to the art. I mean, they spent 7 days a week, 8, 9 hours a day just working on, in between whatever jobs they had, families, social life, whatever. But nowadays, it's so hard to get them to really work out. The tendency of them to learn and to practice is not like it used to be. Everybody's going to like health spas now. They want to do 1 hour aerobic and that's it, and that's the end of their practice. But the way we used to train, 7 days a week, as many hours as we could in between.
I know that's the way that the original Shaolin monks practiced, was day and night, and they really didn't. There was no social life,
Definitely.
but it is hard to fit that into the 1980s. Okay, weaponry has a major part in the advanced levels of most Kung Fu systems. What role does it play in White Lotus?
White Lotus, we use the weaponry to train the body and the mind. We have a lot of weapons, some on the weapon rack behind you, which designate the 18 original classical weapons used in Kung Fu. And what we try to do is teach them the balance, learn how to jump, how to roll on the ground, how to fight from all aspects. So we learn to fight ourselves like a total spear. So we're separating our whole body and covering all 360 degrees. We also work with more modern day type weapons, where more practical weapons, as we say, maybe forks, magazines, something that we can carry on the street with us. Because old traditional weapons are too long to be carrying around with us. They'll see it, 4 or 5 miles away before you can pull it out.
Yeah, I don't think the police would appreciate that too much.
Definitely.
Also, what are some of the present projects that you have going and some of the future projects that you're planning?
Well, as you mentioned before, I've finished 4 books. My last one just came out a couple months ago. It's Kung Fu: The Endless Journey. Took me a couple years to put that book together, and the forward of the book is written by a friend of mine, Muhammad Ali, and I have trained some of his boxers into the Chinese Kung Fu methods, sticky hand fighting and using the boxing ring. I also am working on 2 other future books right now. One's on iron palm training, and another one will be on the 5 animal system. Hopefully that'll be out. One's going to be out in December. And we're also working on putting together a stunt school right now, myself and one of my other students, Steve Lambert, which should be opening up in January. And we'll be teaching like different fight scenes for different movies studios. So we're trying to put that together right now.
Right, right. With the high overhead to rent a studio nowadays, it's very difficult to meet the demands of the costs and to be able to make a living out of it. And to keep the students there, a lot of times the students, they'll stay for a week or two, a month or two, and then they're gone. It's hard to keep that. I know your school has for years been very successful at keeping a high enrollment of students. What do you think some of your business secrets to, promotions and
Well, we try to make everything reality is like a family affair when they come in. We try to give them all individual help, and afterwards we have like get-togethers with the different students. They come over to the house, I go visit them, we go out to eat or something like this, and we make it's more like a family atmosphere. So it's not like it's a business where you come, pay your money, and then you leave, and that's it. We don't want to see you again. But it's more like a family. I have students from 10, 15 years ago still come visit. They keep in touch with me.
right? I know you do demonstrations. You're in demand, year round for different demonstrations, travel around.
Right.
Very exciting ones, and the viewers are now going to get to see one of these demonstrations. There's no way to showcase all of Doug's talents and knowledge in just one episode, and hopefully he will be able to return again on a future program. But stay tuned, because you're going to get to see some of these techniques and theories of the White Lotus system performed by Doug and his students from Panorama City School.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen and kids, we're going to demonstrate to you now my system, White Lotus Kung Fu. And what we're going to demonstrate to you is some of the conditioning exercises that we use in the school. Now, one very important thing you have to remember, these are not for you kids to try on your own. A lot of these guys have been practicing this for many years. Conditioning is very important. Breathing is very important. It's not something that you want to try on your own. You must go to school, be under proper supervision of an instructor. So don't try these techniques on your own. That's very important. Watch and see some ideas that we're going to show you. These are very different from other systems. So just watching what we're going to do. First, we're going to demonstrate some bag training conditioning. This is like the boxers when they're using like medicine ball, dropping on the stomach area. What we use is the heavy bag. Here, you have to make sure the breathing is very important. The position of the body, so there's no damage to the spine area. Again, this is conditioned into the stomach area. After that, you must learn to take punches while they're standing. So we use the bat striking into it like a baseball bat. Yeah, I want you kids trying in this. Most you won't be able to put the bag anyway to do this. But you see, conditioning is very, very important. So we definitely want you to see it, but do not try it. Next, we're going to have some more conditioning. This is the body strike. Now, this is just using your hands to condition your body. Now, this is the first level. What they're doing now are striking into the stomach area. You must learn to condition that whole total area. Now, cross chest. This is for striking its anything that comes into the upper half of the body. Front back, we're working the stomach and the kidney area. It's very important. A lot of people sneak up from behind you. You must be able to take a punch to the kidney. Now into the throat. One very important thing in fighting. A person's not invisible or invincible. You're going to get hit and they're going to see you. So we try to condition the body in all various angles. Here's just arm conditioning in the forearm. A lot of times people block, they hurt themselves. So it uses conditioning the body. Now we go to a little bit more advanced type conditioning technique, which is using the sticks. Okay, there's Bossy and Joseph demonstrate some. Conditioning to the legs, striking the upper thigh area, then working high. Again, we're just doing a short version for you to see. In the school of fighting class, we do over 200 strikes of each one to the body. Now, this is also to the rib area. A lot of people get hit in the rib or kicked in the rib. Now, back into the throat area. Now, from there, we're going to do a little bit more conditioning into the body. Kicking behind the leg. So when a person gets up there and they get kicked the first time, we get rocked on the ground. We want the person to be aware of what power feels like. Now, punching in the stomach. Not only to take the punch, but also to give punches. A lot of people don't want to hit each other. Now, going into the face. Learn to keep eyes open while watching their opponent at the same time. Thank you, guys. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit more advanced. Again, kids, do not try this on your own. Again, this is, more conditioning for the body. What we're going to do, this is called the body bridging. But what we're going to do now is show you some more stomach exercise. Okay. Breathing, very important in this. Now, what they're doing is lining themselves up and still he's stepping right on the internal organ. It's very important. The breathing exercise is very important in this. Now, the feet up puts a different stress on the muscles internally. Now, the last one is now the more advanced one. Usually we have Joe carrying a heavy bag, so it's about 350 pounds. But right now, we're just going to have Joe walking around with about 250 pounds on him. But still, you have to have a lot of support. Thank you, guys. So you see, conditioning is very, very important. Okay, so we don't want you trying out any of this on your own. It's just very important that you go find a studio that's going to train you properly from the basics up to the more intermediate, then to the advanced area. Now, into our fighting aspect, what you just need, what we talked about, just condition. Well, what does it lead to? Now we're talking about the fighting aspect. Now, it's very important that you learn to control the various ranges of fighting. Now, one of the methods that I use in my book is known as sash training. It's used for short or infighting ranges. So what I'm going to show you is just one of the sashes what we use, using white wood here. These are usually like 16 feet long, depending on the height of the person. Center this around your neck, and there's a different way of tying it up. From this, you center this around the back, loop it around, and you tie this on your arm. Now, while you're looping this on this arm, what it does, it controls where your arm does not overextend itself. So a lot of people, when they do any type of fighting or training, they tend to hyperextend their elbow. So this is a good training method to keep you from hurting yourself. Now, also what we do is work on the wrist area. So this really works in fighting. 90% of the people cannot infight. What we're talking about infighting is close range fighting. They can, you see boxers, when they pull into each other, they try to hook to each other, they try to tie themselves in, but they're not actually doing any type of punching. Now, in the Kung Fu system, what we try to do, which I'll demonstrate some of you, the internal type hitting, little type of striking, which is not seen, on the Kung Fu movies, where you're seeing their elaborate 15-minute fights. But in reality, fighting is going to be very short. In a true fight, as my teachers used to tell us, the fight should last no longer than 15 seconds at the most. If you're going anything over 15 seconds, it's not fighting, it's a game at that time. So I want to show you here, you see the tie-up. So you see the various ranges. Now I cannot extend all the way out. I can feel the tug. So the back area, so it controls everything. So we're talking about ranges. So we're talking about ranges of the body zone 0, zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3. When we let loose of the stash, we're going to 5. Right now I'm just going to show you a little bit of tight fighting. I have Phil. What he's going to do is demonstrate and throw a couple of punches. And see the hands blocking. Oh, that's good. So you see that everything is kept tight. There's no where your hand's going to go wild on you. Now, we'll show a little bit slower. So we show like the joint lock techniques where you come in, you break the wrist, break the elbow, work the shoulder area also. And I'm twisting here, roll, break his back this time, kicking in there, elbow to the hip. So again, this is a little slower type method that we work on. Arm break. We work arm and breaking from here. Break into the hip area from here. We drop down into the head, snap the neck off from here. Push from here and just drop it. But it's just a demonstration. Again, don't think that you can do this on anybody. Right now, we're practicing where he's punching at me. Again, if I miss the punch, boom, I get hit. It doesn't matter. But we're used to conditioning type hit. So you must learn to take the hits. It doesn't matter what part of the hits it to. So the breathings are important. But again, a lot of times when you're punching into the person, even if it's long range hitting, we use what's known as swallow chest. And when he hits in here, like hits my body, that's in one stop. Another system we practice in practice. In. But as I suck in, comes in like pulling him off balance and take at that time. Knees wide open into his groin area. Second knee coming into his hip, just located from here. Okay, so this is like short range. Thank you, Phil. Now from there, we'll go into middle range fighting. Unloosen the sash here, and we'll go into like the elbow area. Now, this is for more long range, because a lot of times you can't infight. What you can do from various ranges, you must be prepared for. So two, you're gonna have come up here and just show you what's known as slap punching from the Mokgao system. What he's gonna demonstrate, we'll try to do so I don't hurt him any here. So I'll punch one. Slow it down for you. So it's 1, 2, strike, and move in. So this is all in tight fighting. Okay. Now we're doing singly, but we're kind of using internal use of the hand from here, so you can see the camera wise. So coming down, punching here, dropping here, and hitting inwards. So using like the body slide. Okay. So he's punching your hand, doesn't matter. Okay. So working from here, we learn how to grip into the joint. We know it's 3-star system. 1, 2, 3. Wrist, elbow, shoulder. But we can control 2 of them. You can defeat your opponent at that time. So try to move them in from there. So in here we lock and twist again. Anti-twist, so we go against the hip area. That's good. All right, next we're going to show you just a little bit about kicking range. I'm going to take this off for now, so we don't need this for range now. We have Robert going to show you some of the different type of technique from the Lotus system. We use what's known as the crane kick. We go various angles. Go low, up high. Okay, but that's like the crane kick. Second one, if he's punching whatever, we sidestep and we take the knee, we go into the air. We use the whole total body attacking the person. So you're not just using just a little weight here. You want to use everything up into him. Okay, third type is like a throat kick, what we use. So we slow it down for so you can see. We grip in, kick in here, and drip here, and also. Okay, another type, so we'll use an inside hook kick into the head area. Lift kick into the groin, take down from the knee, break from the arm. Okay, these are just simple little techniques that we have that we're showing you. Okay, next we'd like to show you just a little bit about distance. Now, when we're talking about distance or timing, a lot of people, when they fight flat-footed. Okay, so the feet are flat. And when we're doing the distance-wise, person hits, it's not going to do any damage at all because you only have so much power. What's important is raising the back heel up, which gives you 2 inches. It's like a wedge. So when we pick this heel up, the power penetrates in more. Also, if we sidestep by not even moving the front leg, so from here, then we push in there even more so. But to attack a person, we must learn to use the whole body totally moving forward. So we're moving inward. So we're using like inside. So we use this against the body. We can side shuffle then, move in, and then we do more damage. So distance-wise, mind control, breath control, knowing your opponent, knowing the type of terrain that you're fighting on is very important. So this is just some of the methods that we're talking about. This is covered in my book, and you read about that later on. That's good enough. Okay, now, what we're talking about, we also have a lot of different type of weapons, where you see the old traditional weapons. They're 6-7 feet long, but we also have what's known as modern type weapons, weapons that you can carry. These are what I teach to my security officer, FBI people, highway patrol, police officers. We work on various type of weaponry, okay? Now, what I'm talking about is practical type weapons that you can carry. letter opener. Acts just like a knife. Go into a person. Now, again, this is not for you kids. This is just like what we use in case there's no other weapons, you know. The day of the guns, you know, anybody can pick up a gun, use a one-finger technique. But we're talking about where you have to defend yourself, where you have no weapons around you. What can you pick up to use for yourself? So when we use this type of technique, we keep it out of the sheath or keep it inside the sheath where you don't have to hurt the person. Every day playing chopsticks. You've seen them in Chinese movies. Use them for eating, catching the fly, in Karate Kid too. You know? But we also use these for like pressure point striking. We use these for massaging. When we do acupressure massaging, we put these into the points itself, so it gets deep inside. Now we also have what's a magazine. I didn't bring a brick today on board, but rolled up properly, this can break a board, break a brick. It's just about position of hitting. Okay, another one that we have is the ones we teach for our females, the fork. Just a common fork. You take this thing straight back out, pull it down. This will hit anything, go through coats, clothing, anything. Well, I got hit by a girl one time about 15 years ago. That's why I learned this technique. And it hurts, okay? So this you can make in various type shapes, okay? So you have to be very careful. Now, these are sort of legal weapons that we try to train our females to carry. Was to carry in the fingers. You can open the door, pull the keys away, you can still scratch. It's just natural type of technique. The magazine we use for different type of striking methods into the throat area, into different body type pressure. Feel free to come up with. Or if he's punching or anything like that, boom, right behind the elbow, arm right in here, into the arm part, come into the head. Remember, paper cut, one slice of paper, but I can take it right off here, just scrape the back of the jugular vein from here. Then pull it into the throat, and take down from here. Then back the arm, come down and break at the same time, and put the knee into his rib area. Thank you. Fine. So there's many different type of techniques that we can use, okay? So we don't want you to just go out there and try this on your own. Again, it's very important that you try to find the proper instructors. What do you look for in an instructor? Does he know what he's teaching? Is he teaching himself personally? A lot of people going out there, they have the senior student teach while the instructor sit in the office somewhere. Sure, a lot of times they don't have the time to teach or they don't want to teach. They don't want to mess with the beginner students anymore. I always like to teach my own beginner students because I believe foundation is the basics for everything, for all your advancement. If you do not teach the person proper foundation, it's like building a house. You don't build from the roof down, you build from the foundation up. So I try to train all my students properly in that aspect. Okay, what I'm going to try to do for you now is just a little form from the White Lotus system. And it's going to encompasses our principle of covering the body 360 degrees, up in the air, down on the ground, so forth. So it has a lot of different type of hand motion, a lot of different type of locking techniques, a lot of different type of kicks. So I'll try to break down a little bit of it after I finish the form, okay? So this is just a basic type salute. Okay, so that's just a little short version in the studio here. So I think that's going to draw to our conclusion for this demo today. I hope you enjoyed. I'd like to come back again, maybe show you some of the other aspect of our White Lotus system. And so with my group, I'd like to thank you for watching the demonstration.
That's great, Doug. You know, I am familiar with that face slapping exercise that you guys had done. Some of my dates were pretty good.
Definitely.
Anyway, most of the movies and television shows you see on the martial arts, they only cover the violent physical side of the martial arts. So what are some of the spiritual philosophies that are taught in Kung Fu?
Well, the school motto that we use there is let the mind guide you, the spirit drive you, and the body protect you. As learners to use all three essence of life, mental, physical, and spiritual. So we try to make this one of our main points in our school. So we try to unite all three as one. This is my son Travis here. He's 22 months old. He's been training since he's 6 months old. And he's been on 4 or 5 demonstrations with us already, but not this one. And he's been weaponry, rolling, and kicking and everything already. Okay. So
It really is something to watch. And let's see if you can show us a little Kung Fu technique with our traditional Chinese salutation. Are we ready?
ready.
Okay.
Salute.